What's going on? My name is Alex with Portland Event Films, and today I'm going to talk to you about these time code packs. This is by Tentacle Sync, and I'm going to explain why I picked these up and how I use them in my production. What's going on? My name is Alex with Portland Event Films, and today I want to talk to you about these little bad boys. They're a product made by Tentacle Sync, and these are what I use to sync everything up via timecode. And let me explain how I got here. So I used to use Premiere, and I would use Pluralize to sync up all my audio in my camera sources, and it worked pretty good most of the time. There'd be a lot of times where I'd be outside and it'd be super windy, or my camera and my audio source would be too far from each other and they wouldn't sync up. And I spent more time just trying to figure out where was that clip and how can I line it up. And I was wasting a lot of time in my post-production trying to line everything up. But then I got turned on to these bad guys. This is the Tentacle Sync. I bought the 2-pack, and this way I could sync up all my cameras and my audio source. So right now I'm using these Tascam recorders. They're the 10DL, and I'm trying to swap them out with the Tentacle Sync version of them. So hopefully they'll be here. They're on back order. Hopefully I'll have them by the summertime. That's the only thing that I have that I can't sync up using timecode right now. So once that is all switched over, I'll be able to switch in and sync in all my cameras and all my different audio sources. So I was really confused when I first got my camera. So this is one of the cameras we use. So this is the A7iii. I got this and I went through the menu and I was like, oh, there's timecode. I can turn on timecode, but there's no way to jam sync timecode like I can my production camera that I'll show you here in a little bit. So the only way to get this to work, you can go in the back of the menu and you can have it show time code and it looks like it's running, but there's no way to change the time code unless you take your camera and you push set and then you do them on both cameras at the same time. It's not really practical and it's not a good solution. So that's why we went ahead and picked these up. So let me show you how this works. The first thing you need to do is turn this on. And when you first turn it on, it is generating time code, but it's not synced to anything. So if I plug this in, let me turn this off. I'm gonna turn it on, but I'm gonna hold it down. I see the red light. When it turns green, means that's the master, it's generating. I'm gonna take the other body pack that I have, turn it on. Now it's red. One's green and once it's red. So this is going to jam or sync up these body packs once I plug this in. So if you can see there, they are now blinking at the exact same time and they're both green. That means that these body packs are synced to each other. So now I can remove these. And there's a lot of different things that I can do with this. So I use the audio recorder that I'm using right now is the Zoom F6, not to get confused with my Sony FX6 that I'm gonna show you here in a little bit. So I can take these and I can jam timecode into my audio recorder with one of these. So I take this in here. It has internal timecode. I plug this in to sync in externally, so I'll show you how I do that.
And then I'll call this group 2.
And then once I've jam synced it, it's set. Now I can take this and then move this on to something different. So when it comes to this camera, I need to come in here, plug in the time code, and now it's going to be generating time code into the left or the right channel of the audio, and then this will create scratch audio on the other channel. So with your audio program, one channel is going to be time code and then one channel is going to be your vocal audio. The time code will seep into the other channel, but it'll be very, very low, so you can at least hear the dialogue or what was actually being captured on this camera. So this is how you sync it into this camera. Now you can't remove this and then have it be synced up. So I thought when I originally bought one of these that I could go in here, have it show the time code counter, which is the internal time code, and then plug this in and it would change that clock to sync up. You can't do that with this like you can do with the recorder and then my FX6. So you can put this in here and now it's gonna generate time code and it's gonna be audio. So that's how you sync up this camera. So now I have the FX6. I can take this connector. This connector was about 30 bucks. So it's just gonna be BNCI, or most people know this as a SDI signal. Plug it in here. So once I plug this in, it's jamming the time code, and so now these two are synced. Just like my Tascam F6, I can unplug this and it's still gonna keep time code. This one has to have this plugged in at all times for it to get audio time code. So that takes care of this camera. And then I can take this and I can take it to my other FS7, and then I can plug it in, and then those two cameras are running on time code just from these two body packs. Now, the cool thing about, let's say this right here, is you have time code in and you have time code out. So you can use it to generate the time code in. Once that's saved, you can switch it out, and then you can plug this even to like another camera, and then you can sync time code, which will be audio time code coming out of this. Now, when it comes to my Zoom F6, right now I'm filming on my A7iii that doesn't have time code. Same situation as this camera, but I can take a time code out from my audio recorder, go into that camera. One channel has the time code, and then the left channel has the scratch track of what's being said. So that way, if the time code doesn't work, you know, you can sync it up manually so you still have an audio track. Now, the one thing is you can't have different frame rates. So I can't have my two, you know, main cameras being in 23, 24 frames a second, and then have one doing slow motion behind the scenes clip. For everything to match up, they all have to be the same. And I'll show you inside the app, you can choose what frame rate these are being generated. So everything has to match up on the frame rate or it doesn't work out. So I use DaVinci Resolve, and what I can do is I can take all the clips, I need to put them in a select folder. I can take all the clips from this camera, put it in its own folder. I can take all the cameras from this clip and put them in its own folder. And then what I need to do is I need to go into the metadata. This will have it because it's a production camera. My other cameras won't. I need to create, hey, this camera and shot list. So that way when I create a multi-clip timeline, it's gonna take all the shots from this camera and put them on one track, and all the shots from this camera, put them on another track. It's gonna take all the audio track from my recorder and put it on its individual track. And then what I can do is have it sync up based on the time code. Now, me personally, I don't like to have a timeline that's one track and then you switch between the cameras. I want all my clips, camera 1 on one track, camera 2 on another track, camera 3 on another track, so that way I can interchange the shots and I don't lose the sync. So one of the best practices I could say when working with a multicam timeline is creating duplicate timelines. So you have your one master timeline that's synced, and this way I can take those clips and copy them over to another timeline so they don't get out of sync. Now, when the camera is plugged into here, it's gonna keep perfect synchronization, but if you unplug it from here, I would say it takes me about 6 hours, 8 hours before I start seeing a little bit of a drift. And most of the stuff that I'm doing is, short interviews, wedding ceremonies, wedding speeches. That's the bulk of where I'm using recording. So I don't have super long clips. So I'm able to get away with just having these two body packs to sync up all the different audio sources. But like I said, I'm still in the process of switching out my Tascam DR10Ls. Once I get those, I will have the other audio packs, and then that way I can sync everything up. So I can use the audio sources that I have that where I actually have to sync up the audio right now, and then I can sync those to the time code. But once everything moves to time code, it's going to be make my life much easier. Now, it was a really big investment to get into time code and making sure that I can plug it all to all my different cameras and have the right audio recorders, but it is worth it. I mean, just the other weekend I did a wedding where I was literally 20 feet from the camera and where I was speaking, and I just took one audio track and one video and said, you know, match based on audio, and it couldn't find the right audio because there was a little bit of wind. So a lot of times I'll be filming in one room and then my audio source is in the other room where they come together in the same room, and I've just got so frustrated with doing the audio sync that I've finally, you know, ponied up the money for the Tentacle sync. And so now I can use timecode, and then I can really focus on, you know, doing my shots, making sure everything's lined up, and I don't have to worry about it. And it saved me a ton of time when it comes to post-production. If you guys have any questions about how to set any of these up or how they work, leave them in the comments below. My name is Alex with Portland Event Films. Thank you guys very much for watching.